So like I said, so let's be honest. Taking this leap isn't easy. It comes with uncertainties, challenges, and moments of self-doubt. And that's why this webinar is designed to guide you through the process, offering practical insights, inspiring stories, and actionable steps to help you navigate this path with confidence. And so we'll discuss how to overcome the fears and doubts that hold so many back from making the leap. I'm one of them. Strategies to build a solid financial, emotional, and strategic foundation for your transition, and tools and resources that can help you not only survive, but to thrive as an entrepreneur. Whether you're just starting to consider the possibility of entrepreneurship or you're already planning your move, this session will equip you with the knowledge and motivation to take the leap and create a career on your own terms. So before we start our conversation, of course, I would like to introduce you all to our phenomenal guest panelists that we have here today. So I will start off with Ms. Kimberly Prescott. Kimberly is the founder and president of Prescott HR Inc. Her primary area of expertise is human resources, employment law, compliance, and employee relations. She brings almost 25 years of progressive corporate HR leadership experience with firms such as Giant Food, Whole Foods, and TEK Systems and Aerotech. She has earned her senior professional in human resources and senior SHRM senior how come I act like I can't say that, Kim, and I know what it is. Her SHRM CP. And both those things are kind of tough to get, right? So I should know that. Kimberly has been recognized for her leadership and contribution to the business community by being named by the Baltimore Business Journal as one of 2023's Enterprising Women of Excellence. The Daily Record is one of Maryland's top 100 women in 2023. The 2022 Howard County Chamber of Commerce Business Person of the Year, and 2019 I-95 Magazine Woman of Influence. She is actively involved in the community, including several leadership roles: board chair of leadership Howard County, chair of the Labor and Employment Committee for the Howard County Chamber of Commerce, executive board member Girl Scouts of Central Maryland, president-elect of Howard County Human Resources Society, and board member of the Third. So when Kimberly's not working, she spends time with her husband and her daughter, traveling. Now, she didn't put this on here, but from what I understand, she loves to go on cruises. Okay. So if you have any questions about cruises, feel free to reach out to Kimberly, and doing research on her podcast, which she also has a podcast called HR and Cocktail. So welcome, Kimberly. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Jocelyn Jackson, Esquire. So Jocelyn is a highly skilled and tenured business attorney. Her diverse background as an entrepreneur, financial planning and business consultant, district attorney, politician, and judge has made her an excellent legal advisor to a broad range of clients. She is a proud Texan, and she also loves Spelman College. She's a Spelman College graduate. Jocelyn doesn't hide the fact that she is for the people. She has been an advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. She's actively involved in her community outreach through her sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and various social groups that share the same ideals. Jocelyn has spent her entire career learning the intricate nuances of what it takes to start business, stay in business, and protect your business. So even while managing her busy family, and when I say busy family of 6, Jocelyn still keeps a full caseload representing 10 to 15 local businesses at once. She's represented Fortune 100 organizations and happily provides counsel to hustling small business owners as well. And the one thing she did not add on here, she is also a part owner, right, Jocelyn? You want to tell the people your other business venture as well? You're on mute.
It's True Blue Legacy. We do luxury handbags and accessories for HBCUs.
Woo, woo. And so I definitely want our panelists, Tyronica, Kimberly, and Jocelyn, please put your information in our chat so our participants can have your information as well. And so last but certainly not least, Tyronica S. Carter. So Tyronica is a seasoned entrepreneur, a former educator, an international leader known for her dynamic approach to business and leadership development. As a seven-figure, you heard what I said, seven-figure earner and co-author, Tyronica has successfully built and led a network marketing team of over 147,000 individuals, empowering them to reach their personal and professional goals. As a former elementary school teacher, Tyronica has a passion for helping others find their unique path to success. She offers specialized coaching services in areas such as business launch strategy, social media branding, recruiting and onboarding, and creating sustainable success habits. Her insights into leadership and strategy have made her a sought-after speaker, inspiring audiences to lead with purpose and with vision. Which also she has also hosted numerous events, including red carpets. She's been featured on 6 magazine covers, including the 2023 May-June edition of the National Sheen magazine, and many radio shows and podcasts. He is also the proud recipient of the 2021 Sales Award, 2022 Media Award, 2023 Female Entrepreneur of the Year, 2023 Top 50 Women of Influence, and named the 2024 Woman to Watch. Her slogan is "Outdream Yourself," where her goal now is to continue to provide the necessary tools to entrepreneurs to see everyone reach their goals and dreams as she has. Tyronica is a native Mississippian. She's a proud HBCU graduate, Jackson State University. She's a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and she resides here in Georgia with her husband and her 2 sons. And y'all keep Jocelyn lifted up in prayer because her youngest son is at Tuskegee his freshman year. And so I know she's probably having some withdrawals, right, Jocelyn? With your baby being home.
No, Tyronica.
I mean, Tyronica. Look, Jocelyn said no.
He's home now, so I'm happy.
Okay, good.
Don't try to rush my baby. We still have time together.
Well, Jocelyn has 3 daughters who two has graduated, and one is at Spelman. And then she has a son who's in high school, Jocelyn?
Yes, my oldest did graduate from Tuskegee, though.
Okay, see, very good, very good. All right, so before, if you have any questions while we're going through the webinar, please feel free to put them in the chat. I will definitely be mindful and make sure that we have 15 minutes of the webinar at the end of the webinar to address any questions that you have. And so definitely feel free to, like I said, ask those questions, put them in the chat. I want all of you to be engaged as possible. And all right, so let's get started. Let me pull up my handy dandy questions here for the ladies. All right, so I kind of broke the segment up in themes. And so the first segment is taking the leap, okay? So Kimberly, I'll start with you. What does freedom mean to you in the context of entrepreneurship? And how did that motivate your leap?
Well, I'll just be honest. Unlike some people, my leap was not on purpose. I quit my job in a phone call because I was like, I'm going to fight somebody, so let me go ahead and move this on, right? And so I realized then that I needed to do something. So it really wasn't on purpose, but I knew that I would be able to, transfer my skills into doing something else. I think to answer the question around freedom, I'll be honest with you. When I first started being a quote unquote entrepreneur, I wasn't free because I was really just working. And when I wasn't working, I wasn't making money. So I realized that I needed to do something different in order to actually be free so I could be earning money when I wasn't working. And that's when there's freedom. And so that's really where because again, that was not a part of the plan. Part of the plan was don't go to jail today. And then after that, I just decided to, after a couple of years that I would really start to make some decisions to allow me to be free to do things like go on cruises and still make money. And, one of the things that really helped me to understand that a little bit more was the book called The E-Myth. And it really talks about people who have a passion, want to do something, and think that being an entrepreneur is that. But the reality is that there's a lot more to it. And then you kind of have to ask yourself a question around whether or not this is really what I want to do for real. Or if this is what I
Mm-hmm.
want to do for fun. And so I always encourage anyone who's considering it at all, not to discourage them from it at all, but to help them to really understand, is this really for you? Because it is not for the faint of heart. And so the E-Myth really helps you to kind of hone in on what that means for you.
I think that's excellent. And if you don't mind, Kimberly, can you put the name of that book in the chat? Because that would be really helpful for everyone. So I think, like you said, the most important thing is how we define freedom. And so thank you for, letting us know or giving your insight into that. So Tyronica, next question for you. Can you share a defining moment when you knew it was time to leave your traditional job and take the leap into entrepreneurship?
Well, as you said, my background was education. I was an elementary school teacher. And so I had been teaching for 15 years. And, as most teachers, that time kind of starts building up and, you're just kind of feeling really overwhelmed. So I was already kind of at an overwhelming point. I can say, though, that the defining moment for me when I knew that it was okay or it was time to take the leap was when my actions started aligning with my goals. Right. So we have goals and we decide, I want to do this. I want to pursue this. You have your goals written down. You know what it is, what you want to do. But as they say, action speaks louder than words. And we can write those things down, as I'm sure most people are already planning out their goals for 2025. But once I really started seeing myself and my actions aligned with the talk, that's when I saw more results. And because of seeing those results, I knew, okay, you're ready. It's time to step away. It's time for you to go ahead and take that leap. So I would just say that, when you will know when it's time, when your passion overrides what it is that you're just talking about. That passion comes and then also the actions align heavily with it.
Yeah, she's in HR, so she's doing like HR Zoom meeting calls.
You're muted.
Knowledge information. I think that's it's okay.
Oh, Asoki. Let me see if I can mute her. Okay. I think for you, Tyronica, like you said, going from something, right, that I would say, is a very hard job and one that can be comfortable, and deciding to, make that leap is huge. And I know that was a big deal for you as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Jocelyn, how do you navigate the uncertainty of leaving a steady paycheck for the unknown of entrepreneurship?
So, I mean, I didn't do that. What what I tell everybody, even my clients, is that whenever they're getting ready to look at a new venture, I mean, I know that that's not always, everybody doesn't always have that opportunity, right? Sometimes people are just kind of, they don't have a job, so they have to start just from scratch trying to make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that when you're an entrepreneur, you eat what you kill. So there's there's no steady paycheck. You don't kill anything. You don't eat anything. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I did when I was starting my law firm was I kind of worked part-time and I started building my practice building my practice in the evenings and and kind of like on my days off and on the weekends, just kind of building up that foundation. And then once I kind of saw that the revenue, because I mean, married with 4 kids, like you can't just take that leap, right? So once I kind of saw that I had steady enough revenue coming in, then I was able to transition into the full-time work or
And
full-time entrepreneurship.
and that's what I was going to say too, especially for all of you ladies, having a family, right? And so, yeah, when you dive into entrepreneurship, yes, you have other responsibilities and, people that are relying on you. So that is, something that is huge. So, and for you, Jocelyn, to still have something part-time and still build on that at night, I know that was even hard, as well.
Well, it's
Or
hard,
was it?
but
I
if
don't want to say,
it's hard, but if it's something that you want to do, that you're
yeah.
passionate about, it doesn't really
Mhm.
feel like work. It feels like you're accomplishing something. You can, you're working to build things for yourself. So it's a different working overtime than it is working overtime, on somebody else's clock when you're on your own clock. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Especially because you love it. So that
Yes.
does definitely make a difference.
Hmm.
So, Tyronica, my next question. So, the next series of questions is around charting the path. And so, Tyronica, for you, how did you identify the right business idea or opportunity that aligns with your passions and your skills?
Well, it was kind of a trial and error. Like again, if you know teachers, a lot of us would have some type of side hustle, something that we're doing to making some kind of money. So I actually had started out just kind of doing something on my own, making candles and fragrance
Mm-hmm.
sprays that I really enjoyed doing. But I also
That's
realized
right.
that,
I forgot about that.
yeah,
Yeah, I forgot
I
that that's when you
I
started.
did.
Okay.
That was my little
Yep.
side hustle, which I really enjoyed doing, and I started growing it. But it still took a lot of work, even though it was therapeutic for me coming home after
Mm-hmm.
teaching and all. But it was a lot of work still making those candles, and I started getting orders of hundreds of candles and stuff, and that was cool. But sometimes things come and hit you in the face without you even realizing it, opportunities. So one of the things I always say is you have to be open. I had actually said no to the opportunity in the business that I'm in now. I had said no for 2 years
Mm.
because I just didn't understand it. I'm in network marketing. And so, you always hear a negative stigmatism about network marketing, and I just wasn't interested. And so finally, I decided, we got to do something. We got to bring some more income into this home. And so my husband had me to revisit the opportunity. And because it dealt with fashion, jewelry, accessories, that's something I like to do. And so I just kind of gave it, I tested the waters. And as I began to do it, not only did I realize that, I enjoyed the fashion and the glamour part of it, but I started realizing that I was kind of doing the same thing as my team began building of teaching. I was just doing it on a
Mm.
whole nother level. I was teaching and educating people about the things that I learned along the way with entrepreneurship and financial freedom and time freedom, all these things that we're not really taught about growing up. I know, especially with my age generation, our age, we weren't taught those
Mm-hmm.
things. We were taught to go to school, become a teacher, doctor, lawyer, become those traditional type jobs. And so I began to learn. And so, when those two kind of align together, and you get that aha moment of what's going on, you're like, I said, okay, this so again, the passion spews from it because it's like it was a breath of fresh air for me as well, after being
Mm-hmm.
in the classroom for 15 years and trying to figure out what's next. But this was something I definitely didn't see coming as my what's next. I'm thinking moving up and in education, going back and get my PhD, those type of things, but it just wasn't. So that's one thing too. You just have to also be open to opportunity, because these days there's so much out there available to you. And as long as you have a passion and drive for something, if there's something you like, you want to do, listen, don't be afraid to explore how you can make money off of it, because it's so many different things that you can take and make money. I don't care what it is. If it's learning how to create a new type of painting or something, I don't know, but you find that passion. And once I realized that those two things were in itself something that I love, it just really helped me identify that I could do this. I could take it to the next level.
I think that's awesome. And I also think what's awesome is, and for all of you all, the transferable skills, right? And so, like you said, going from teaching, which is like what training, and so to be able to do that now, you didn't have to learn anything new. You already knew
Mhm.
it, right? And so
Yes.
I think that's also something that's very important. All right. So this question is for all of you. What tools, resources, or mentors were most helpful in guiding you on your entrepreneurial path?
Um,
Anybody
I
can
can
start.
I can go. I think what guided me on my path was my mom was my number one fan, right? And so she always told me that I could do anything that I wanted to do. And sometimes I didn't really know what that meant. And once I became a business owner, it I needed to draw on all of that encouragement because you really don't have people that can really understand what you're doing. When you start a business from zero and build it, you don't have anybody to kind of to tell you that. And then I'll also say, and probably because I've so I'm from Georgia. I know all of my stuff says Maryland, but I'm from Georgia. So growing up in Georgia, I went to private school. I was the only Black person in my class, right? So I had to push through a lot of stuff. This was the 80s, right? Early 80s. And I had to push through a lot of stuff. And so when I got out of school and I went into corporate, being in a $6 billion company, being the only Black person in the room, it's not always fun, right? And so when I left corporate, I had PTSD, period, right? And so what really motivated me, honestly, was hearing all the voices of my haters. Everybody who had all the things to say. I was like, I know that I determine my value, not somebody else, not somebody who it, people who are not skilled, and people who don't know what they're doing, determining what your value is. And I think last night I took my daughter, we went to go see Wicked, and I've seen Wicked before. We saw it on Broadway, but I saw it again last night. I saw it differently. And when I saw it, what I saw was someone who was surrounded by people with no skills, who wanted to use her for her skills. And when she didn't want to use her skills the way they wanted her to use her skills, she became the enemy, and it was everybody against you. That is just like corporate America. And so in some instances, let me say that everybody's corporate experience is different. I'm just going to say it was mine. And for me, that's really what motivated me. And it also motivates me to see those people referring business, to see those people asking me if I can come and help them do things that they wouldn't listen to me for free when I was sitting next to them, but now you're willing to pay me to do it. Oh, I got you.
And
I would,
no, real quick, I was going to say that last part. I love what you said because Kimberly, I might have to reach out to you to help me with that, because people always do reach out to you to do something for free, and so it's like trying to pivot to now it's a cost. And so I know that could be kind of challenging for some, and I'm some. Jocelyn, yes.
well, to answer that piece of it, try being a lawyer.
Oh,
so everybody always wants to pick your brain.
Yeah.
And so, I have a scheduling appointment with me on my website, and I'll tell people, hey, go to the website, schedule an appointment, and we can get together. So, and that may be something that you need to do. But I was going to say, in terms of the tools and resources, one of the things, my greatest tool for me has been discernment. And when I say that, I mean, I am always looking for mentors. I'm always talking to people about, people in my profession about what I do and where I would like to go and things like that. And you can very quickly tell people who are willing to assist you, and who are, because sometimes we look at people who are doing really, really well. And just because someone is doing really, really well in the profession doesn't mean that they want to bring other people along with them. And so, sometimes you want to sit next to the person with the highest profile name or, whatever, but they're not willing to spend the time, particularly like in my situation, they're not willing to spend the time with me to talk about a case and help me parse things through, right? Whereas I have made it a point to find mentors and allies in some of the most unlikely places, and folks who are truly willing to assist. I think the worst thing that anybody can do, and I say this as a business attorney but also as an entrepreneur, the worst thing that a person can do when going into business is to try to do it on their own. The most important thing and the best thing that you can do is get good advice, get your advice and your information from multiple places, and do the groundwork, do everything that you need to do in the beginning so that it doesn't cost you or catch up to you later. So those would be the main things that the main pieces of advice that I would give to anybody.
Those are really good too. Especially the mentorship. And I've had conversations about that as well because I'm pretty bad with that. But I think that was a really great thing to touch on. Tyronica, I think she's
Oh, is
frozen.
she frozen? Well, can I
Yeah.
just add,
Hmm.
like, I have executive coaches. So I have a coach for almost everything because I knew how to do HR, but I have never run a business. I've never been
Hmm.
responsible for managing a P&L, for writing a budget, for, setting the strategy for an organization. So I have 9 employees. Never had to manage 9 people. I've had to manage 2 or 3 people, but never that many.
Yeah.
So I have a sales coach because I've never sold prior to running this business. So I have a
Mm.
sales coach, I have an executive coach, I have a financial coach, because I also know these are not things that I can afford to make mistakes on, and I need to learn. So definitely, mentors are definitely great. You should always have those people that are in your life that you trust, that you can share things with to give you information, but also coaches.
I think that's really, really good because I never thought about that, right? I think sometimes we don't think when you say, "Oh, I want to start a business," you don't think of all the things behind the scenes that you need, right? And so I've never thought, oh, you might want to get this coach, that coach. So that's really an eye opener for me as well. So Tyronica, I wanted you to also
Yes, sorry, I
answer a
lost
question.
connection for a minute.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
We're talking about the mentors
Yes.
still.
Yep. How
Okay.
did you yep.
For me, again, really kind of knocking on a something brand new as far as network marketing and business, period. Because again, my background, education, I don't know anything about marketing, business, entrepreneurship. I have no idea about these things. So one of the first things I learned to do was to just kind of follow some of the people in the industry that were well known, that were successful, who were admired, and other people talked about their success. And so I immediately sought these people out, kind of followed them. And there's a saying that says, copy the right cat. You start studying them, you start looking at how is it that they're so successful. You start picking up their habits. There's also a thing that says that, hey, they're my mentor. They don't even know. I just immediately started calling some of these people my mentors. They were my mentors, whether they knew it or not, because of the information that they shared and the things that they did that opened my eyes as to what I needed to do. So that really is what helped me to navigate the process of finding a mentor, understanding what to do, and just knowing. And after that, you eventually learn, who you really need to follow, the right tools to take away from that. And then the biggest thing was just networking. Like, I had no idea how huge networking is, and just like becoming networking. And especially, there's a saying that says own your backyard. So I started there first. I'm in the chamber of commerce, and then you get to know the people in your city and officials, and so many opportunities open up because of that. So that was my the hugest thing for me as far as when it came to mentoring and learning the craft of what I was doing.
I think
And
that's
they say your
awesome.
network is your net worth, and it
Yes.
definitely
Absolutely.
is.
Hmm.
My network, I'm telling you, they definitely are how I am able to continue to move
Continue.
forward.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
I've never heard that before, Tyronica. Copy the right cat instead of
Yes.
copycat. Like I've never I've never
Copy
heard
the
that
right
before.
cat.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. No, that you all definitely have given some really great tidbits on, resources, mentors, because I think that's important. Where again, we all need that. So Jocelyn, how did you prioritize tasks and set goals during the early stages of building your business?
I was slow and steady I was very slow and steady with how I did things. So I just kind of, once I decided what it was that I wanted to do. So I have kind of two. I have the setting up the law firm, and then I have the setting up of True Blue Legacy, which the two things look totally different because they're two totally different types of
Hmm.
businesses. But the primary factor in it was that I was very slow and very deliberate about how I went about putting the infrastructure of everything in place. So those initial pieces of it are kind of easy to do, right? When you're working full time, it's like if I'm getting trademarks or I'm having to get contracts done, those things were things that I could do in the evenings and the afternoons. It was just kind of a slow and steady. The biggest, I think the one of the biggest challenges, people decide they want to start businesses, they want to make money right off the bat, want to make money. And so, so many, I have made very, very much a lot of money off of people who have great business concepts and ideas, and they just are ready to make the money, and they fail to do all of the infrastructure at first, and they start making the money, and then they lose all of that money, and then some, because of what they failed to do in the beginning. So, just doing the little things, doing them well, taking my time initially, and then momentum picked up. I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. And I also love the fact when you say taking your time, because I do think sometimes people want, like you said, want to rush it, right? And so it is a slow and steady thing, growing your business and
Yeah.
not letting people pressure you into getting to a certain point or being at a certain point at a certain time.
And a lot of people don't know, Ayesha, like what is involved in, I don't have a side hustles, right?
Mhm.
Everything that I do, whether it's with True Blue Legacy, with my law firm, everything I do is designed to provide me with a serious stream of income. It's
Mhm.
not a side hustle. It's not boot money. It's not. And so a lot of times people have in their head the concept of side hustle, because that's the term that people use. And if
Mhm.
you approach it like a side hustle, it's going to give you
Mm.
side hustle money, right? And so
That's good.
everything that
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so if everything that if you approach it, like if you were to see me on any given day, Ayesha, and we talking about True Blue Legacy, you would think that that was my only job. That is the only thing I do. That is my primary thing. If you didn't know, I mean, because that's how
Mhm.
people now are starting to get to know me. Oh, you're the lady who does the handbags. But I'm a
Mhm.
whole lawyer with a whole
Oh.
caseload and trials and everything else. But I don't treat it like a side hustle.
Yep.
So
It's like they're your babies, right? So
right,
they're different, but like, hey, I have to pay attention to both of them equally
right,
the same.
right,
So,
right.
and I think I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's really
Ayesha, can I
good.
say something?
Yeah,
Can I say
yeah.
something real quick? She
Mhm.
said so many things that I had to deprogram my team from, because
Mm.
I would tell them that too. This is not a side hustle. As soon as I like, because of course you think that because that's what everybody says, but I had
Mhm.
to eventually start saying this is not a side hustle. This is my other 9 to 5. And so when you
Yes.
start thinking of it like that, because why, you'll allow yourself to say, well, it's okay if I don't do that tonight because I have the security of my regular 9 to 5.
Mhm.
And so
Yep.
I also would say things like, if you work at hobby, you're going to get hobbly results. So that's
Mhm.
the same thing Jocelyn just said. And
Mhm.
it's
Yep.
the mindset, definitely, for sure, where you have to start number one, the mindset, because otherwise you will talk yourself into being comfortable
Mhm.
with that 9 to 5 job, because the security of that money is coming. So you have to look at it as, and it was the same to me. I realized when people stopped saying, oh, well, how those kids doing? How's teaching going? Instead, it was, oh, hey, Miss Entrepreneur, people start addressing you as how they see you, because that's what you
Mhm.
have begun to put out there then.
Yeah, that's and I think like you said, if you do have a 9 to 5, yes, you become very comfortable with that, and not some people not taking the other business that they have as serious or putting as much into it. And like you said, I think it is all a mindset. And we do we talk ourselves out of a lot of things. I know I'm one of those people. But if I treated it what I do as far as the other HR piece, if I treated it like my 9 to 5, probably will be a little bit further with it. So that's really good. So thank you all for that. So let me see. So our next topic is overcoming obstacles. And so Kimberly, this question is for you. What was the biggest challenge you faced in navigating the path to entrepreneurship, and how did you overcome it?
Um, Yeah, I don't know that I can narrow that down to one, but I'm not gonna bore you with all of them. And I also don't know that I've necessarily overcome all of them because it's a day-to-day journey, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Think that for me, the one thing that I really had to do was decide what my business was going to be. HR is a big thing, right? And so I had to decide what were we going to do. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm really big on business books because again, I came from corporate. So, I really thought about Jim Collins and the Jim Collins Hedgehog principle from good to great. So the hedgehog principle is what is the thing that you're the best in the world at? And once you identify that thing, then that's what you do. So for us, it's outsourced human resources. We don't do compensation. We don't do recruitment. We don't do DEI. Do we know about that stuff? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we are the best in the world at being the outsourced HR department for businesses that have 20 to 100 employees. We can do that, and I know we're better than our competitors, right? And so, what I had to be able to do is learn how to say no to business, because that's what you have to do. When you make a
Mm.
decision, this is what I'm doing, then you
Yeah.
have to start saying no. Part of having a network is you're not saying no, you're just referring them to other resources. So you're still helpful because at the end of the day, what we all do is help solve problems. That's what we
Mm-hmm.
do. That's how I got over the fact that I had to sell because I was like, I don't like sales. Sales is bad. But I was like, no, I'm helping people solve problems, right? So even if I'm not the person, I will refer somebody else. But I had to get real used to saying, this is what we do. This is where we're going to be. This is the lane we're going to swim in. And being able to say no when other opportunities come, because you'll be like, oh, but I could make so much money if I just recruited somebody. I could make $30,000 on that one thing. It's like, but that's not what we do. And it's
Mm.
going to take so much time and resources away from what we're already doing. So just
Yeah.
build on what we're doing so we can build capacity.
Yep. No, well, you also speak in my language. So I like that a lot. Because just an example, even for me, right, Kimberly, like I don't personally like resumes, right? And so automatically people think when you're in HR, oh, can you look at my resume? And so my thing is now, no, I cannot look at your resume, right? Because that's not necessarily something that is my strong point or that I'm really interested in doing. And to your point, for me trying to hone in a little bit more on this is what I'm really good at and this is what I do. So I think that that's definitely great advice and something that I deal with myself. So thank you. So Jocelyn, how did you handle criticism or skepticism from others about your decision to pursue entrepreneurship?
I didn't care.
I was just
So
about to say, I don't even know why I asked you that question.
I didn't care. So, I mean, I never had to handle it.
Seriously, I was like, why did I ask her that question? Because Jocelyn is going to say, I didn't care. No, which I think is, but you know what, like I'm laughing about it, but I think it's a good thing because I am someone that does care, and I'm a recovering caring person in that way. But and I love when people say, I don't care what you say about me, what you think about me, I'm doing it. And Jocelyn, I know you, and you're absolutely correct. I know you don't care.
Well, because the reality of it is this. I'm gonna share this tidbit, and I think it's relevant and important in an entrepreneurial space. When when I was early in my career, fresh out of college, I worked at Bank of America, young person. My personality has always been much bigger than any room I've ever been in, and that can be a lot for some people. I'm not a middle of the road person. You love me or you hate me. There's no in between, and I get that, and I'm okay with
Yeah,
that.
we're
Um,
spirit animals. Yes.
After I left the bank, I went on to law. I had a mortgage company. I went to law school. I became a judge, all of those things. And I was selected for Leadership Cobb. And I walked into the room and I saw someone who I had worked with who when I was fresh out of college. And he said to me, this was like 6 years ago when I was in Leadership Cobb. I was in class of 2016, 8 years ago. And he said to me last year, when you walked into that room, I wondered, what is she doing here? He did not feel like I was worthy of being in this as a sitting judge, and him with his 1 degree and me with my terminal degree and my black robe did not
Wow.
believe that I was worthy to sit in that space with him, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so as a Black female entrepreneur, there are always going to be people who are going to look at you, whether they're your peers, whether they're old white guys or whatever, and they're going to always wonder, and some of them will say it like they did with me. Some of them you'll find it in the way that they treat you. How is she able to do these things? Why should I give her this opportunity? And so if you focus on those things, it is going to automatically derail you. You already know that there are people who are going to be skeptical, people who are going to throw challenges your way. You deal with the challenges when they come. You don't look for them, right? And so that's just you gotta have those guts when you decide that you want to be in business. You got to be prepared for people to say crazy stuff to you, but you got to push through it.
I think all of what you said was awesome and excellent. And it speaks to a lot of us. And it also speaks to what we just went through as a country, as far as even a presidential election that we just had. And my first seminar was kind of around that, right? Like having to prove yourself even more in rooms. So thank you, Jocelyn, for that. Tyronica, question for you. What strategies did you use to maintain financial stability during your transition?
So when I transitioned, I had actually been working my business for 2 years before I decided to leave the classroom. And one of the things that my husband and I had decided, because everything has to have a plan, right? I've seen some people, especially on my team, who just kind of just leap because they see what other people are doing and they take that leap prematurely without having a plan in place, because the thing with entrepreneurship, it's up and down, like, if you don't work, you don't make money. It's a different ball game. And so one of the things that my husband and I did when I was beginning to think about and making the transition is we came up with a walkaway amount. He was like, hey baby, if you can make this amount of money while you're teaching with the business, if you can make from the business this amount of money in 3 to 4 months in a row, 5 months in a row, to show the stability, you can walk away. And so that drove and that pushed me because it gave me a goal. And so not only did I reach that goal, but I surpassed it. And so did I cut out?
No,
You can
no,
hear
we
me?
can. No, yep, we heard you the whole time.
Oh, okay. It froze a little bit on my
Yeah,
end. I
no,
don't
but
know
we can
what's
hear
going
you.
on tonight. But not only did I reach that goal, but I surpassed it because I was working towards something and I had a plan. And so that gave me the cushion that I need. And so what I did as I was transitioning out, once I left education and I had that cushion, I was working on that goal. I met what it is that I needed to sustain our household. I also decided that, okay, because what I do is not only we have residual income, but we also can make income from sales. So I told him that at the end of the day, I don't want to have to necessarily rely on the residual to be ordered to survive. I still want to, as we say, survive off sales. So I made sure that I put in the work of selling and doing what I need to do. And I said, okay, if I can ensure every single month that I do in sales what I was making as a teacher, then we'll be okay. And
Yeah,
so those are some of the strategies that we just put in place because, again, you have to have a plan and you have to make it make sense. It has to make sense. And that's what made sense to us. It was all about understanding what our means of living was. Yes, the extra is good, but we want to be able to make sure that we're covered based on what we've been able to do along the way. And so that helped, keeping that stability going as we made the transition and then continued to grow.
I love that because, like you said, I mean, and Jocelyn and Kimberly, of course, you know this, but the plan, that's the most important thing, is having that plan and just trying to see where you are and where you're trying to go. So that is very, very important. So thank you for sharing that. And so we're going to wrap up our questions. So just in case anybody has any questions for us as well, we can open that up at the end. But let me see. This is not my last. Yeah, this may be my last question. But what advice, and this is for all of you, what advice would you give someone standing on the edge, considering taking that leap to freedom? And it could start with anyone.
My first question would be, how much have you evaluated what it is that you are trying to do, right? Because not every business is one where not every business is sustainable. Different businesses have different life cycles. Some businesses can go in perpetuity, and then you have other businesses that are more trendy. So you got to always be thinking about what's the next thing and how to evolve. So the most important thing in any venture is going to always be understanding the business that you are going into. Understanding that, understanding, okay, out of 100 people who go into this type of business, what percentage of people fail, or what percentage of people are not in business in 3 years, right? Those things are very, very important, to look at. So that's the most important thing. I mean, a lot of things look attractive. A lot of business people online all the time make it seem like going into business is so easy, and oh, I made $7 million in 2 years. They tell you that, but the reality is the percentage of people who are actually able to make those types of things happen is so small. So you have to really research it for yourself to determine the viability of whatever business venture that you're going into. That's the most important piece of advice I could give.
Good stuff.
And
That's good.
I'll say that as
Good.
someone who works as a mentor with other people who want to go into business, I mean, I think it's just hard. This is a hard reality, but you have to ask yourself, does somebody else want what you're offering? Because sometimes it's something that you're interested in, it's something that you're passionate about. There may not be a market for that. So you kind of have to ask yourself, is that something that people really want? And then I'll also say the other thing is that you have to be prepared to invest in your business. Like, having a website is great. Having those things, that's great. That's a great start. Please do it. I recommend it. Get a website. But you also have to invest and really do some research into who is my market, who is my target audience, and how do I get in front of those people and invest in them and really identify what makes the most sense. I know that my market is business owners and executives, right? So where are those people? What are those people doing? Those people listen to podcasts. So I started a podcast because that's how I knew I could get in front of them. Those people are at Chamber of Commerce meetings. So I am actively involved in the Chamber of Commerce. The one thing I will say, because Taronica also mentioned it, the Chamber, but the Chamber is only as good as you make it. It don't matter what chamber it is, you got to
Yeah.
get involved. So it's not just joining
Yeah.
and saying, hey, I'm a member, now what? Like, you have to get involved. So I would just say, making sure that your business is something that other people want, and then investing in it and making sure that you are and you're clear on your brand. Like, I know what my brand is. And if you see my brand, you know my brand when you see it, period. And so just investing in that and sticking to it.
Great advice as well.
That's good.
Yeah.
I would say, because I'm the type of person where I have to have actionable steps. I could sit in one of these Zooms and hear people talk all day long and tell me, this is the things that you should do and make these kind of plans. But I'm all about, what can I walk away with? So when you're on the edge and you have that idea, the most important thing to know is to take it one step at a time, you guys. Like, seriously, I don't know if it's the teacher in me. Like, listen, talk about what it is that you want to do. Like, what are your goals? And then right up under it, do step one, A, B, and C. Here's the first thing I can do to get to that goal. Here's the second thing. And you have to make sure it is something that is tangible for you, that you're excited about. When I'm doing my speaking engagements all the time, I say, listen, you can't go to third grade without completing kindergarten first. Sometimes we try to skip over kindergarten because sometimes it seems like that's so elementary or minute. It's such a small step, but those small steps is the building foundation of your business, right? Your business will crumble if you don't get that foundation straight, and that starts with actionable step by step um uh plan, and things that you have to incorporate. So if you're on the edge of it, number one, don't don't overlook your idea, because a lot of times, as Jocelyn's questions was, a lot of people do get discouraged from what other people tell you. I remember my dad told me, "You're not quitting your job." I was like, "Oh, yes, I am." And, I had to show them. I was like, my husband said I could quit, but you have those naysayers and you have those people. My teacher friends thought I was crazy. They was like, "Well, you could tutor and you can come do after school program." And I'm like, "No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I got this." So just put in actionable steps that are obtainable, that you won't feel overwhelmed by. I don't care if the first thing in place that you put is just writing out your vision, point blank, period. And from there, you can come up and think of ways that you can actually do to make those happen. So don't be afraid of what it is that God has placed inside of you. I say all the time, it was a conference call between you and him. It don't have to make sense to anybody else.
Mm.
If it's in your heart and you thought of it and you know that you can make it happen, put those steps in place and then make it happen.
That is you. Let me tell you, y'all gonna bless me now. If nobody else got anything on this call, I feel bad for you because I did. So y'all definitely blessed me. I will say this because I know all three of you ladies personally. I admire you. I look up to you. I think what you do is phenomenal because, like you said, it's not easy. Tyronica, I've seen you and how you work your business. Kimberly, I have as well. Of course, on LinkedIn too. You be on top of that, and Jocelyn as well. With both of your companies, and I think I know is not something that is a little thing. I put something on Facebook the other day because I heard Kelly Rowland say this, and she was talking. I don't know if you all heard the snippet she put when people say, "Stop saying somebody's little something." Right? Like, oh, I'm just going to that little webinar. I'm just going to this little, blah, blah, blah. Stop doing that because that little something is somebody's opportunity and they're making that their biggest opportunity. And so I think that's really important because I know for me personally, I've done that, right? Like, yeah, I'm just having a little webinar, and I'm like, no, this was something that was put on my heart to do and I'm doing it. Right. So I want to say I admire you all so very much. It means a whole lot to me because I know you're super busy, all of you, but it means a whole lot to me that you wanted to join tonight and share these tidbits with everyone. I'm glad I'm able to record it because, like you said, Tyronica, sometimes people can hear and walk away with stuff from a webinar and then like, what they said, and hopefully people will be able to look back and hear on this. So I want to open it up for anyone. In the audience that has any questions whatsoever. Yes. Does anybody have any questions for the ladies?
I do.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I've been in network marketing for like almost 4 years, and it's sometimes I feel like I don't know if I'm in the right business because it's like, am I addicted to the glamour because I have all these amazing uplines and I see them making the money and they just doing everything. And I don't have the support close to home that I desire. Other than me attending like the team conventions, I leave there like in tears sometimes because it's like I'm with my family and I come home and I don't have that encouragement. And like even today, what you just said about people saying that little business, my family would say that. Like I'm not a 5-year-old with a lemonade stand. Like this is a real business. And I'm selling products that you guys can go to big stores and you pay all this money and you can't support me. It's so hard to not know, am I in the right business? But I'm so curious to figure it out. So I'm like, I can't quit because I got to see what happens if I stop the excuses. What happens if I reach out to my mentors and say, hey, if I pay you, or how do I do it? Like I don't mind paying for what you have to offer because I want to be around people who think like me because I don't have that here. And it's discouraging to talk to people who aren't in business or who quit or just don't have the goals I have. And I don't want to, it's like, I don't want to quit before I know what's out there for me. So I don't know if I asked my question. I think I'm sorry if I didn't, but it's like, how
No,
do
no,
you
no. I think it's a great basically comment, right? And question all in one. I think that's what you said when you said I don't have necessarily the support, right? And I want to be around others. I think it is important too to be around people that are wanting to go where you want to go, right? Like everybody on here has said they're there they're going there, like they can give you that. And I think that is important. I really do, to be encouraged to have a support system. And so I know Tyronica, I know she's, you all are in the same bit. Do you have any advice for her, anything to say?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say one of the biggest things, like I said in the beginning, when I first started, especially when I started 9 years ago, there was not as much information and support and training out there as it is now. So what you definitely have to do is get out there. Like I sought after, because it's not just the business itself, it's the industry. Because even though neither one of these other ladies are in network marketing, it's all about entrepreneurship. So there's so many information and tidbits that you can take. They all tie in together. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing that you have to do because you are running a business. So even without necessarily having the support, because I didn't have a lot of that in the beginning, I just went out there and I had to do the research myself. I found the people in the industry who were at the top and what were they doing and what was some of the changes and steps that they were doing that people necessarily in my company wasn't doing, because they may not have known themselves either. So it's really, really, really important that you take a lot of that ownership for yourself and do what it is. And yes, it's good to reach out to your uplines and your other mentors, but a lot of that responsibility, it has to fall on how you're doing what you can do to make sure that you get the information that you need to keep yourself going.
And
Okay.
entrepreneurship is a lonely road. It's a lonely road.
Yeah.
And your family members should be the last people that you're looking
The
to
support.
support you.
Mhm.
I mean, they should be the very last people. It is a lonely road. And a lot of times your family members won't jump on the bandwagon until they start to see some success. They're not gonna
Yep.
be with you. They're not gonna
That's
be
true.
with you in the so don't set the expectation that your family is going to be supportive of you, because you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
Don't even look there, right?
Mhm.
You just need to, like Tyronica said, align yourself with like-minded people, but do
Mhm.
not allow your family to be the litmus test for,
Mm.
for success, or whether you should go forward, or whether you're doing the right thing.
Okay. Thank
Great
you.
advice, ladies. Thank you. Krishan has her hand up. Krishan, you're on mute if you are talking.
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Yep.
Okay, okay. This is like very, very informative. But one thing I'm gonna piggyback off of is like I have been setting some goals as far as my business, doing things that I have like never done before. And I have been doing this business now for 5 years, but I relaunched in January of this year. So to me, it's really like saying I'm finna to hit my first year, coming next January, because I feel like I done grown, than what I was doing with them first 4 years. So like my husband, he was asking me, this is how I know I've grown. He asked me what I want for Christmas, and I sent him stuff for my business. This is what I want you to give me. Everything has something to do for my business, because this is what I need, whether it's,
Nice.
packaging, whether it's like,
Mhm.
my business cards. He was like, "What? Are you serious?" Because he used to me asking for some things. I want these nice shoes over here. I want this purse. I want this sweater. I want these jeans. No, I
Mhm.
want something for my business, because I have a goal now that I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to get on different levels. I'm trying to be like the next person. And like Tyronica said, start following people that is doing the same thing as you, but they're on another level and you're learning from them. So yes, I started following these people that I had never knew before, until I started going to the conferences and things like that. And I'm watching what they do and what they're saying. I'm buying little things that they have on their lives, like a little $5 counter. I didn't think I needed that, but then how do I know how many pieces I'm selling? So
Mhm.
that was not a goal back then. So it's like, so this is like really informative, and it's like I really, have all these goals. I've been writing down things what they were saying, tonight, and I really do appreciate everything that was said tonight, and I plan on just moving forward. I done already made my goals for January, where I want my
Okay.
sales to be. I'm not going
That's
to
what I'm
wait for
talking about.
January. I'm not going to wait for
Yeah.
January. So I'm waiting now. So like my job, I work with a lot of women. I work in healthcare, but I was keeping, like Ty told me the other day, a closed mouth don't get fed.
Mhm.
So you can't do a lot of things at work because it's, quote unquote soliciting. So what I
Mhm.
did, I started asking people, you on Facebook? You on
Mm.
Facebook? You on Facebook? I'm trying to do something with my business. And so now I got 20 people that started following me within the
Okay.
last couple of
Nice.
days. So it's like, hey, I'm on a whole nother mission. I got things to do. I'm trying to retire.
Look, I'm right there with. I understand that, and I think it's awesome that. And thank you for sharing that, Krishan. Thank you so much. I think um, yes, priority shift, right? Especially when you have a business. And I think when you're serious about it, some things you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to buy that anymore. I'm going to focus more on over here and buy this over there to feed and into my business. And I think that's really important as well. So thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else want any other questions before we close out?
And I'll also say really quickly, like with
Mhm.
regard to that, because I love me a bag and a shoe. Please don't get it twisted. So what I would do is set revenue goals for myself. Like, okay, if I can, over this period of time hit this revenue goal, then I'll treat myself with this. So
Mm.
I would set goals for myself that were business related, and then I would get a thing because, when you own a business, you see a lot of money coming through, and it's easy to think, okay, I can do all of these things, right? When really you
Mhm.
can't. And so that way you can kind of help yourself to set goals. It pushes you, and then you still can treat yourself because you don't want to deny yourself. It's just like being on a diet. If you go on a
Yeah.
diet, you don't eat and you don't do anything. When you do come back, you're gonna eat everything you can
Every-
fit on that plate, right? So you don't want to do that, but just setting goals and then treating yourself is what I did, and I felt like it motivated me.
Good. I love that because I'm with you. I'm a shoe, handbag, clothes. Look, I get it. So as we close out, I want to make sure that all of you have taken the information that was in the chat from these lovely ladies with their businesses. So we have Jocelyn, www.jocelynjackson.com, and then truebluelegacy.com, tyronicacarter.com, radiantstylesjewelry2.com, and then prescotthr.com. So make sure you all write those things down. Give these ladies some business. Okay. Jocelyn, like, make sure. No, but get and thank you, Kim, for sharing the E-Myth Revisited. I appreciate that. I'm gonna make note of that too. So make sure that you all take this stuff down and use it. And again, I appreciate you all so very much for joining me tonight for the second, the True Human Resource business series. And I really appreciate it. And again, for the three phenomenal ladies on here, Kimberly, Tyronica, Jocelyn, from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you so very much for doing this. Just like my first panel, I reached out to them and I was like, hey, you want to do this? They were like, yes. So I really appreciate it. So hopefully everyone on the call got something from it. I did. It is recorded. I have don't ask, see, I don't know why I didn't have my YouTube channel stuff up, but I'll send an email out to you all with my YouTube channel, and I'll post this on there too. So you can go back and listen and share. So thank y'all so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank you
holidays.
for
Y'all
having
enjoy your
us.
holidays.
Thank you. Happy
All
holidays.
right. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Good
Have a great
night.
night.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take a picture of myself.